Good morning everyone and welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day. It's actually Sunday and obviously I'm not on the beach. I'm at home, so you're very welcome to join me here. I may look hanging, but I've got my glasses on today. I've got my hoodie up just so you recognise me from the beach. I was fishing till 4 o'clock this morning down on Chesil. Not for you guys though, for someone else, but you'll get to see it soon. But it was pretty hard. My intention was to fish Cogden and have a go for a place or a sole in the evening, but there was a match on. I didn't actually check that. Dave Lane was running his Samolite match and it was completely rammed, which is great to see. But unfortunately for me, it meant I had to relocate to Abbotsbury, which was already rammed. So I didn't really stand much of a chance, but I caught a nice smooth hound, a doggy, and caught a few pating, so I must have been doing something right, but it just wasn't a great session, so you haven't really missed out on much. Anyway, this video is going to be a little bit different. Over the last few months I've had lots of questions about the URFE Rig and lots of other stuff that I do on camera. Obviously when I'm fishing, my intention is to show you how I fish. In life and fishing more than anything, it's about opinions. Alright, so everyone's got an opinion. Just because I do something a certain way, it doesn't make it the correct way or the only way. But in my videos, naturally, I'm just myself, so I show you the way I do it. I've had lots of questions about, say, shock leader knots, different rigs, especially about the URFE Rig. Now, I've been using the URFE Rig for about 5 years since I've done a feature with Tom Bagnall, and I absolutely love it. But a few months ago, I decided to introduce it to the channel. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but on my channel I try and do everything pretty basic so everyone can do it. My channel was basically set up for people just starting in fishing, or people, you know, there could be some of you that are really good at fishing, you just enjoy watching fishing channels, but my coaching style is to help everyone. But I've introduced the URFE Rig and it's gone down amazing, but it's also given me lots of questions and loads of you have been asking me the same sort of thing. As I mentioned before, when I'm out on the beach, it's all about effort. I can show you how to use stuff, but I haven't got time to make it, and I wouldn't want to do that anyway. Could it be pretty boring for you all? So moving forward, I'm going to do something called Wayne's Way. Pretty cheesy. It's my way, not the correct way, not the only way, it's Wayne's Way. So once or twice a month, I'm going to do a video, maybe a shock leader knot for you, or how I make a pulley rig. And for this first episode, which I'm going to film today, you'll be all pleased to know that I'm going to show you how I make an URFE rig, the URFE rig. Oh, that's my cat, by the way. Hello, Dempsey. Yeah, an URFE rig. So I'm going to sort the kit out as per normal. I'm going to get all the components up, which I'm going to show you. I'm going to sit and have a sip of tea, because this is really relaxed. You're in my house now, so we do it at my pace. If I don't get attacked by the cat. And I'm going to make a rig for you. I'm going to make the URFE Rig the way I like to make it. Let's just move that. Right, in front of you, you can see all the components you need to make an URFE Rig the way I make it. What I'm going to do is show you one at a time to the camera, the components, say their name, and hopefully if you need to you can write it down or you can pause it, make a list, and you can get all the components in front of you to make an URFE rig the way I make it. Firstly, there is two major ways to make an URFE rig. As I mentioned before, on my channel I aim for people that are just starting fishing, or maybe fishing for a few years and you want to improve your catch rate. In this demonstration, I'm going to show you the easiest way to make one, but it's a little bit controversial because I'm adding knots into my rig body. It doesn't really make a difference. The rig performs exactly the same, but like anything, if you tie some knots into it, you give it weak points, where when you glue it, there's no weak points. But I am using 42 pound 0.50 line for my main rig body anyway. For what I'm fishing for, sole, place, a knot is not going to affect that. But it's personal preference, and as I said, everyone's got an opinion, and everyone's got their own way of doing it. But I do it this way. It's quick and simple. But if I'm fishing for the army, or when I'm fishing a match, I'll probably take time to glue it. So there you go. First of all, you will need something the same or the equivalent to my blackout memory-free hook length, which is 42 pound 0.50. You will then need a Mark 1 standard tape measure. You will need some beads. They don't have to be orange, okay? You will also need some micro beads. You will need some rubber stops. As I mentioned before, all my stuff's Tronics Pro, but that's because I work for Tronics Pro. There are loads of other companies out there. You will also need some sequins. You will also need some fine wire hook size 1. That's if you want to copy my rig, but in a minute I'll go into different variations and why I do things a little bit different. A pair of scissors and a lead to finish off. Right, the two main components for this rig are the earth bar itself and the 4-way beads. So I'm just going to show you that now. There is a standard earth bar. So if you've never seen one before, there you go. And here is the 4-way bead. Naturally, those two last components are what make this rig. Firstly, I need to work out, or you need to work out, what fish you're going to target. And as I said before, for me, I'm out tomorrow, or my clients are targeting bream. So I need to make, in my opinion, a 6-foot rig body with 1 foot gaps, with 1 foot hook lengths. That seems to work for me. It may for you, it may not, but as I said, that's the demo I'm doing. So firstly, I need 6 foot of my rig body. So, as you know by now, I'm not 6 foot tall. So what you can do is make your tape measure 3 foot, and guess what? Double it up. All right, for the clever ones amongst you, 3 add 3 is 6. For the rest of you, just follow what I'm doing. So 1, I can take that away. 2. I now have a 6 foot hook length. I'll get this ready for a foot. So let's start building this rig. So firstly, you will need your rubber stops. This is going to act as a bait stop on the first hook. The first hook is actually attached to the main rig body. So there you go, there's one. Just a little tip with these rubber stops. Before you pull the line out, give it a wiggle to make the metal open up again, because if you just pull it out, sometimes it's hard to get the line back in. Just a little tip for you. So I've got my stop. I now take a sequin. So we've got a rubber stop, we've now got a sequin. That's going to act as my bait stop. And now obviously I need a hook. It's up to you how you tie your hooks. Just get a hook on there. For me, just put it through, standard fishing knot, 5 round and 2 back over. Sorry if I got dirty nails, I was using black lug last night. Horrible, isn't it? Right, so there's the start of my rig. A hook, down to a sequin and my stop. So there's the start of my rig. Right, this is when the magic happens. So 1 foot from the end, if I'm using a 6 foot rig body, I need to tie a double overhand knot. Do it this way from the rig. So 1, bear with me, it's fiddly. 1, 2. So that's twice through the hole. And what that does is does that. All right, and you just pull it nice and tight, hold it where you want it. There you go. And there's your first knot. That's your first stop knot. So as I said before, a few of you will be like, oh no, I don't like tying knots in my rig bodies. And that's a great opinion, but on this sort of rig, it doesn't really matter. So now, what we're going to start doing is that we introduce a bead. This is going to act as a buffer, if I can find the hole. So, the rig works. So there you go. There's your bead against your knot. Then we add the magical 4-way bead, which is the main component of this rig. And we just thread it on like so. I keep hooking everything, which you'll do the same. So now, have a stop knot, my bead, and the 4-way bead. You guessed it, we add another buffer bead. Right. As you can see, what I need to do now is tie another double overhand knot to stop this obviously moving down the rig and making a right mess. So it needs to be permanently held in place. So what I do again, 1, 2. Pretty self-explanatory. Get it nice and tight. And there's your second knot. Okay, there's your second knot. Now that is not going anywhere. It allows for a bit of movement. And I'll show you how the 4-way bead works in a minute. So now we've got our first 4-way bead ready for our snood to go off that way. We've now got to build the second one. So as before, we go a foot from the previous one, the same as what we do on the end. And then we tie another double overhand knot. 1. You can see the pattern forming here, yeah? So just keep that nice and tight. Keep your thumb on it. It's pretty fiddly, but you'll get used to it. So I keep my thumb on it. And there you go. So there's my first knot. Same as before, another buffer bead. Another 4-way bead. And a buffer bead. Right, obviously, the same as before, I need to tie a knot off to stop it slipping down the snood. So 1, 2, another double overhand knot. Obviously, when you're gluing it, we're going to glue it, but that makes sense when we do that. Pull it in nice and tight, and there you go. There's your second stopper. So there's your second part of the rig. So we've got a hook, a sequin and a stopper, a double overhand knot, a bead, a 4-way bead, a bead, another knot, 1 foot from there, a bead, a 4-way bead, and another bead to act as a cushion. You do not need these beads, but I like it because I think if you've got a fish on the 4-way bead, on the snood, it's banging against the knot, it can cause damage. So I like using beads as a buffer, but it's personal choice. As I mentioned before, this is the way I make it. Then to finish off the main rig body, we've just got to tie our snood to the middle swivel on our earth bar. Same as before, it's up to you what knot you use. What I'm going to do in a minute, I'll bring you in nice and close and I'll show you all the components. 5 over, 3 down. And that is my 6-foot rig body, just like that. So my snood length, or my hook length as we call it. Remember, from the end, we've got a 1 foot gap to a 1 foot gap to a 4 foot rig body. So that indicates to you, you need a 1 foot hook length, in my opinion, the way I do it. So I'm going to need to cut 2 1 foot hook lengths. Pretty straightforward. So we'll go down, cut it once, and then run it alongside, run it down, and cut a second one. So, as we know, the first hook is attached to the main rig body. So what I'm going to do is exactly the same with a stopper and a sequin, but I'm going to show you how to use the 4-way bead, or the X bead, or the cross bead, or the Portuguese rig, or whatever bead, the kicker bead. So, as the name suggests, it's a 4-way bead. Up and down is 2-way, left to right is 2-way. So what I need to do now is tie 4 overhand knots into your hook length, right near the end, because this is going to stop your snood going through the bead. So you don't want it in the middle, because then you'd only have like a 6-inch rig body. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I like to use my teeth with a lot of things. Make sure, there you go. So there's my 4 overhand knot. Pull it nice and tight. Then what we can do is thread it through the kicker bead, which is quite tricky when you're really old and your eyes are crap. Right, so there you go. So I then thread through the kicker bead. Right, that will hold. All right, that's great. That 4-way will hold with that 4 overhand knot. But what I'm going to do is use a micro bead. Just again, just to add, because it gives a buffer and it adds a little bit more colour to your rig. So what you do is you just thread it through the sleeve and then just pop it off like so. And there you go. So now you have a 4 overhand knot at the end of your hook length with a little micro bead. Then we just obviously push it back through the 4-way. Like, that went straight through, just make it. Like so. And there you go. For me, I'm more confident now. I've got it on a bufferlet, and I'm just going to trim that off. So there you go. That should be how your 4-way looks if you copy my rig. So we've got movement from left to right, and we can move up and down. We then repeat what we've done on the end of the rig. So we're going to use a rubber stop, just to act as a bait stop. Pull it down, and then we're going to add a sequin. But yeah, just wiggle it around in there first before you pull it out the wire, and it creates a hole so you can get the line back through to get the second one off. If you just pull it out nice and tight, sometimes you can crimp the line and you can't get them off. There we go, the same as before. Rubber stop, sequin, and then obviously we introduce a hook again. As I mentioned earlier, the lengths are all about you really. I'll just reiterate, if I'm fishing for place, I'd use a 12-foot rig body with a 2-foot hook length with a 2-foot gap. I'm sure you understand what that means now. If I was fishing for bream and sole, I'd do a 6-foot rig body and a 1-foot hook length with a 1-foot gap. So there you go. So now you have your kicker bead with your rig through it, your hook length through it, on the buffer bead, to your hook length, to your rubber, to your sequin, to your hook. And guess what? You just repeat that on your second one. I hope that wasn't too painful for you, and I made it quite simple. It's pretty hard doing it on my own, so I apologise if it's not the best, but as time goes on, like my filming, hopefully I'll get better at this Wayne's way, and these one-to-ones. I'll probably have to change my camera, or I may actually get someone to film me if I need to for zooming in and stuff. But hopefully where I've held my hand up, the camera zoomed in on different components of the rig and it's helped you out. If you followed along at home and you've made your rig, this is what it should look like. Firstly, on the end of your earth bar, you should have your lead. That is attached via moving this sleeve. You've seen that before. You should then have your middle swivel where your main rig body runs off of it, like so. And then obviously the top swivel attaches to a main line or your shock leader. Yeah. Then you should have 4 foot of rig to your first, just got a hook in the leg, your first double overhand knot, to your buffer bead, to your kicker bead or your 4-way bead, to your buffer bead, to your second knot. That holds that first rig body in place. 1 more foot down and exactly the same again. A double overhand, a buffer, a 4-way, a buffer and a double overhand, like so. Down to your main hook, which is attached to your rig body, like so, with a sequin and a stopper. Obviously your hook length should be a foot because you've left a foot gap. You should have your 4 overhand knot to your micro bead. That stops it pulling through the kicker bead, like so. And then you should have a foot to your stopper, your sequin and your hook, and you should do that twice. So just to run over it one more time, 6 foot rig body, 1 foot snood from the end, 1 foot hook length, 1 foot gap again, 1 foot hook length, 4 foot to your earth bar. My name's Wayne. I hope you enjoy it, hope it makes sense. Obviously as I go on, it'll definitely get easier, it'll get better, and I hope you understand what I'm trying to do. Have a great day and good luck with your earth bar.